Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the first 5 things you should do after a fresh Windows installation. So the first one on my list is to use a tool called NextNext, which is an all-in-one app downloader, in order to install most of the basic free apps that you're going to want on your computer. So you can find NextNext on nextnext.com. And the idea here is that you selectively choose the apps you want to install on your computer. So for me, that could be something like Thunderbird, possibly you want Chrome browser, maybe Qubit Torrent, 7-Zip. You just kind of go through this list and take all the things you would normally use and put that into one installation package, which when you're ready, you can just hit get your NextNext down a little bit below, and it's going to give you an executable file on your desktop. When you run this, it's going to install all of those apps all at once without you needing to have really any other intervention whatsoever. There's no next. You just kind of open this when it's done downloading. Of course, it's like a 1 megabyte download, so don't worry too much about that. But when you open it up, it will install all of these different apps and tools and dependencies for your computer in the background. And it will just kind of simplify things. So you won't have to go to different websites. You won't have to grab each item individually. It just saves a lot of time. So I really recommend trying NextNext out if you haven't already. So while that's just kind of going on in the background, obviously I've already run that. I don't need most of those things on the list. You can probably work on handling Windows updates. So if you install Windows 10 and you don't do anything else, what's going to happen is that Windows 10 is going to kind of install the updates automatically for you as you're working. It'll download the packages, and what will happen is when you actually log off and reboot your computer, you'll come back and it might take 30 minutes to boot because major software updates had started to install on your machine. Now, that's fine if you are okay with waiting half an hour for your computer to boot up. But it may be the case that you want to have a little bit of control over this. So what you can do is you can go to the search bar and type in Windows Update, check for system updates, where you can manually go ahead and force things to install. There'll be like a check for updates button here. As you can see, I went ahead and clicked that earlier just to kind of test it out. So beyond forcing Windows Update to go ahead and take care of things immediately, you can also change a couple options here in order to delay things a little bit. One, you can change your active hours, and this is a good idea if you're going to be at work or you're going to be working on your computer just in general at a specific time. You can increase or decrease the starting and end time here, and those will be the hours where your computer isn't going to magically shut down, restart, and install updates. It will wait until your active hours are over. Now, note that even if it's not during active hours, if you are currently using it, it's not going to go ahead and restart for update purposes. That would be only when you go inactive for a certain period of time. Also, if you want to just pause the updates altogether, you can go to Advanced Options and come down here to where it says Pause Updates. So you could pause updates for up to 35 days and it won't actually run the updates. Now that carries some risks with it. Obviously, you might be missing some of the security patches, and that is going to kind of be on you if you do that. But if you want to go a day or two without the annoyance of having the updates, then you can do that and just get your work done, and remember to come back and re-enable updates once you're okay with your computer taking an hour or two to actually get all of those updates done. Now on Windows Pro version, there is this deferral feature, but that's more for when new updates are coming out. You can tell it to not update for a few days. It's probably not something most people really need, and I guess that's why they only include it in the Pro version. So pause updates and changing the active hours, that's kind of what you're going to want to focus on. But if you want to just knock all of your updates out of the way, then you can just come up in here, keep telling it to check for updates. When there's new updates available, it'll go ahead and install them. And then just keep going through the process of rebooting your computer, installing more updates, and get that out of the way. Honestly though, if you don't really have to be on your computer the moment you turn it on, then just letting the updates go ahead and take care of themselves is pretty much fine for a lot of cases. But if it's really important that you have your system going for you, probably don't reinstall Windows right before you need to do a major work project. At least have like your phone to check emails as a secondary device, something like that, and you should be okay. Okay, so putting that aside, installing your graphics drivers is going to be pretty important, especially for people who are going to be doing anything graphics intensive, whether that's video editing or playing some games. So what I would recommend doing for most people is you install the automatic Nvidia driver manager or the ATI equivalent. So on Windows for Nvidia, this would be GeForce Experience, and you can get to that just by kind of going into Google or DuckDuckGo, typing in GeForce Experience, and you can just go ahead, grab the app, download it, and what it will do is, as long as you have it open, if there are new updates, it'll let you know about those updates, and you can just tell it, okay, go ahead and install the updates that are right for your computer. You don't even need to worry about which graphics drivers are right for your specific graphics card, because the software will go ahead and figure that out for you. So you just kind of go to the Nvidia website, download that, and run it. And as long as you don't disable it or anything, it will be a little icon in the background here. So I have Nvidia settings here. I believe that's part of the package. And that will keep your drivers up to date, which is very good indeed. Okay, so number 4 is going to be to synchronize your browser account or reload browser add-ons. And this does depend on which browser you're using. So right now I'm using Brave browser, which actually does not store accounts anywhere on a server. So if I want to back up and restore my account, they actually give you kind of like some text information that you can copy and paste into your devices in order to synchronize the data, which would be over here in the sync tab. So you would have an existing sync code that you got by hitting I'm new to sync, and that will allow you to basically get the same settings on any of your browsers. Now in most browsers though, such as Firefox and Chrome, you log into either a Mozilla or a Google account, and then as long as you log into that account, it's going to try to synchronize things like browser history, add-ons, between your devices. And I think each of those options can of course be checked off if you don't want them to synchronize one or more categories of items. Generally, you would just go up to the top right-hand corner of whichever browser you're in. You would click here, and there would be a sign-on button somewhere down here. In Chrome, it would be a little icon right up here in the top right-hand corner. So you go ahead, you sign into your account, it'll grab the add-ons that you have. If you have a password manager like LastPass, you'll probably want to go ahead and log into that after your browser already downloads all of your different add-ons. But yeah, just in general, get your browser back and set up. Hopefully you can load in all of your bookmarks and all of that stuff. So that should help you guys out going forward. So number 5 is for anyone who uses an emailing client, especially if you have a lot of different email addresses. Because if you use a tool like Thunderbird, you're going to want to get all of your emails back in there. So as a tool which allows you to check and read and write for multiple email addresses at once, you can get that back up and running in the same way that you had on your previous system. So there's a couple decent tools out there in order to do this. One is called Moz Backup, which is what I normally use. That would be found over at mozbackup.jasnapaca.com. But it's unfortunately not really being updated anymore. So I've never personally had any issues using it with Thunderbird, which is what I care about. So you can go ahead and try that. But another option I found out there, backupthunderbird.com, has a backup utility which would do the same thing. Unfortunately, it does seem like the backup files are very, very large. I guess it backups every email from every archive. I'm guessing how it actually works is it will back up every email that you have in the archive files, but that's just a guess based on the enormous file size. But you should be able to use this, and then you would copy this file to your new computer. But yeah, Moz Backup is a pretty stable tool for that as well, I found. If you're using something like Microsoft Outlook, I'm sure that there are similar tools to that, so just go around, look in Google or DuckDuckGo. But if you can handle these 5 things, getting all your apps installed with Ninite, updating Windows or deferring it so that you can actually get some work done for those few days and then worrying about your updates later. Installing your Nvidia drivers or ATI drivers, ideally with Nvidia experience so that you don't need to worry about updates and it'll just kind of take care of it for you in most cases, just giving you the final do you want to install them now confirmation. Getting your browser back up and running by synchronizing your account or the browser add-ons and your bookmarks. And then getting all your emailing addresses back into your main emailing client. Those 5 things will take care of a lot of what you need to do to have your computer functional again. Those 5 things should take care of a lot of what you need to do to have your system the way you want it again. So I've been Chris, thanks for watching this top 5 video on the things you should do after a fresh Windows 10 install. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my future video content.